In 1989, David Baszucki and his brother Greg founded Knowledge Revolution, a tech company developing physics software. Shortly after the company's creation, they published their debut program, Interactive Physics. Interactive Physics was a surprisingly realistic physics simulator and would very quickly become popular. If you'd like to play the simulation for yourself, you can do so for the cheap price of $230 from websites that definitely aren't trying to steal your information. Interactive Physics would be the Kickstarter for a decade-long run made by Knowledge Revolution, hiring Erik Cassel and name you may know along the way. After developing a few more programs, Knowledge Revolution was purchased by the MSC Software Corporation for a cool $20 million, or $19.2 million to be exact. After a few years of sitting on all of this money, David alongside Erik began to craft a game we all know and love, Roblox. And that is how Roblox became Roblox. Thanks for watching, you can click off the video now. Go on, I know you want to. Why are you not clicking off? David Baszucki was born on January 20th, 1963 in Canada. He grew up alongside his younger brother Greg, whose date of birth is unknown. Sometime during his childhood, David's family would relocate to Eden Prairie, Minnesota. Growing up, David enjoyed dirt bikes, science fiction, and go-karts, and as he grew older, he developed an interest in computer programming. During his high school years, David dominated, height-wise and academically, allowing him to be accepted into Stanford University. During David's time at Stanford, he would apprentice under General Motors and would excel there as well, garnering him 2 degrees. David spent 4 years at Stanford, graduating in 1985 with degrees in electrical engineering and computer science. His brother, Greg, graduated from the University of Minnesota in 1988, having a degree in electrical engineering. Despite the high income potential for the two men, they decided not to use their degrees and instead founded Knowledge Revolution on January 1st, 1989. Knowledge Revolution was a company that strived to create programs that were educational and could be used by anyone around the world with a computer. Greg and David would then begin to work on Knowledge Revolution's debut program, Interactive Physics, released on June 19th, 1989 for the Macintosh Plus. You could run various simulations in interactive physics, such as colliding objects with each other or creating a functioning car. While interactive physics paled compared to today's physics simulators, we have to remember that it was 1989 and this kind of software was groundbreaking back then. The program was still fairly complicated, with it being directed at high school students studying physics, but still, it was a massive hit. Knowledge Revolution's debut physics software grew to be used by millions around the world, with David and Greg working hard on getting a follow-up released. In 1992, they released Interactive Physics 2, a new and improved rendition of the previous software. By this point, the success of Knowledge Revolution was so monumental that a full page was written about the company in the newspaper Mac User. As you would imagine, lots of people read this article and it caught the eye of a then ordinary person named Erik Cassel. Erik was intrigued by the article and just so happened to have a knack for coding. He was so intrigued that he actually contacted David to schedule a job interview. He would fly across the country to San Francisco for this interview, showing how determined he was about this job. Luckily for Erik, the job interview wasn't long as he was hired on the spot. David and Erik hit it off instantly and made quite the partnership, with former Knowledge Revolution employee Keith Lucas having this to say about the two. I first met Erik in January 1997. A few friends told me about this cool little company that made physics simulation software for Boeing, Lockheed, and Ford. In a short time, I learned the secret to Knowledge Revolution's success: Dave's audacity of vision coupled with Erik's capacity to deliver. They were optimistic and fast, and no other company I looked at could compete. The work ethic of the two certainly shows, and in 1996, Knowledge Revolution released Working Model. Working Model was another impressive follow-up to Interactive Physics, featuring some 3D elements. Around this time, Knowledge Revolution began to switch their target demographic from high school students to companies like Boeing and Ford. In 1997, Knowledge Revolution hired Keith Lucas, who would eventually become one of Roblox's first employees. By this point, Knowledge Revolution was a very successful company, with their software being used by millions around the world. The company was so prestigious that it was acquired by the MSC Software Corporation for $19.2 million on December 22, 1998. On top of this, David, Erik, and Keith would land high-ranking positions at MSC, with David as vice president and general manager, Keith as manager, and Erik with an unknown senior position. And up to this point, things were going very well for David. He had just cashed out big time with his company and secured a high-ranking position at another, making hundreds of thousands per year. While working working under MSC, David released Working Model 4D in 1999, with Knowledge Revolution being renamed to Working Knowledge around this time. David worked at MSC until 2002, when he would leave to start an angel investment firm. In case you don't know what an angel investment firm is, it's essentially a firm that will invest large sums of money in smaller companies in hopes that the companies would go big and make a large profit. One of David's biggest successes with this firm was a website called Friendster, which he invested in 2003. Friendster was a social media site before sites like YouTube and Instagram came along and sold for over $100 million in 2009. David recalled being the 79th user on Friendster and was inspired by the social aspect, and that was what led him to implement the unique socialization into Roblox. But besides Friendster, his investment firm didn't seem to be too successful, causing David to explore a passion of his, radio broadcasting. Starting in college, when I would have insomnia at 2 a.m., I would turn on talk radio and just listen to the people calling in. And so around this time, David hosted a radio talk show. There was just one problem: no one was calling. This was a big problem, but luckily, David had the solution: controversy. David would debate with callers about all sorts of things, such as gambling, among other controversial topics. This venture of David's wouldn't last long, as he would abandon the talk show in July of 2003. This was when David first had the idea to build the platform that we know today as Roblox, with the concept starting as a 3D physics engine similar to Working Model. The only difference was that this physics engine wasn't supposed to appeal to high school physics students, but rather to gamers. This would be difficult, as David had never developed a video game before. Another problem was that David couldn't make this idea become a reality by himself, and to do so, he would need a partner. Enter Erik, who in 2003 was still maintaining his senior position at MSC, earning a substantial amount of income. Despite having security in his position, he managed to be convinced by David to go and form this idea. And so the two rented an office in Menlo Park, California, and registered a website under the name GoBlocks.com on December 12, 2003. However, David and Erik didn't seem to like this name, and 10 days later, another domain would be registered under the name Dynablocks.com. This is what people consider to be the first ever version of Roblox, but what really made it Roblox was that on January 30th, 2004, David and Erik registered a domain under the name Roblox.com. With it came a colorful looking logo that looked cool, but was soon replaced with a cooler, more futuristic looking one. And with this whole Roblox thing being official now, the Roblox Corporation was officially created on March 10th, 2004, with the company being officially incorporated and trademarked on the 29th. After around a few months of unknown activity, the first users would join the site, mainly admins. The first ever account created on Roblox went under the name admin and was a test account created by David Baszucki. QA was the second account created on Roblox and was a shared account used by Erik and David. David and Erik would create the third and fourth accounts respectively, using their full names. Keith Lucas, who worked alongside David and Erik at Knowledge Revolution, would be Roblox's seventh user, creating his account under the name Keith. The rest of the accounts after that aren't too notable, with some highlights including 7 accounts made under the name Nueva. These accounts were created because students at the Nueva school, located in San Mateo, were invited to playtest Roblox. Elvis Area 51 is the account of Greg Baszucki, who joined in May 2005 as Roblox's 35th user. The reason the account has a funny name is that Greg believes that Elvis Presley is alive and lives in Area 51. That isn't a joke, it's actually what it says on the Roblox wiki page. But anyway, it appears that Roblox's first 50 users are mostly admins or friends of David Baszucki. This could have been because David admitted that he had no proper knowledge of SEO at the time, hence the lack of active users. Still, David and Erik were pretty satisfied with the player base they had culminated, and during the afternoon, most of their free time was spent playing with their loyal player base. And despite them having fun with the small community that resided on Roblox, they needed to grow, as there's no doubt that Roblox was making a loss as a website. But David and Erik didn't care, at least for now, and we're just happy to build a community and improve the site. And finally, after 2 more logo changes, on September 1st, 2006, Roblox was officially released, at least formally, to a small audience. Now, this indie game would grow, slowly but surely. The 10,000th Roblox user would join in December 2006, and Roblox would officially monetize on May 14th, 2007, adding Robux to the game. Later that year, the 100,000th Roblox user joined the site, and Roblox just kept growing from there. Sadly, on February 11th, 2013, Roblox co-founder Erik Cassel passed away after losing the battle to brain cancer. On a high note, as of today, Roblox is one of the biggest video games in the world, boasting over 70 million daily active users globally. The only thing that could foreshadow this massive success is the fact that Roblox is now a corporate company. But that is the story of how Roblox became Roblox. If you enjoyed this video, then like and subscribe if you want to, and I will see all of you in the next video.